Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of two adapters for iOS products. The one on the left here is produced by Apple. It's meant for older generation iOS devices that still uses that 30-pin connector, such as the first generation Apple iPad or up to the fourth generation iPod Touch. And after plugging this adapter in, you have access to a full-sized HDMI port for mirroring content onto an HD television screen or onto a monitor. So if you have music or videos or even photos loaded up and you want to share that content with friends and family, this is a good product to check out. It doesn't support full one-on-one mirroring in the sense of Miracast, on Android devices does. So if you're browsing the web and you want to quickly, look at a web page on an HD television and you have an older iPhone, it might not work 100% of the time. But anyways, it's one of the ways that you can get content onto a larger screen without using, let's say, a further newer update to the firmware that allows you to do that process wirelessly if you don't have a smart display or a smart television. This one, because it is made by Apple, is a bit more hefty in price. It sells for about 40 bucks online, and you can see on the back here it tells you a bit more information. There's a secondary pass-through 30-pin connector, so you can still plug it into power and charge your device at the same time. But again, the charger itself, the wall brick, isn't included as part of the packaging, and this is what the sides of the box looks like. We'll take a closer look at this first. So obviously this will work with the, again, iPod Touch 4th generation model, and we'll do a quick demo later on to show you the capabilities of this. Let's see, what is the easiest way of opening this up? We'll try opening up the bottom here. And it seems like we have just the cable itself, the adapter itself, the digital AV adapter, and afterwards there are a few quick start guides and manuals as well as warranty cards provided by Apple. So as you can see here, it says this is the digital AV adapter. It's printed in multiple languages, tells you how to set things up, as well as a 1-year limited warranty included with the purchase of the adapter. And that's essentially it. This is what the adapter looks like. Again, it's in sync as far as design and construction with most Apple products, and it is made out of this polycarbonate plastic. On the back, you can kind of see some more details from Apple in terms of design. The cable here is actually quite stiff. It's not the longest cable in the world, so it kind of relies on your HDMI cable for a longer length if you have it at a more complicated setup. Let's say the television is behind the wall or something, so it's going to rely on an extension cable for that. But otherwise, construction here seems to be quite nice, decent, and although we do expect that to some extent since it is a rather expensive accessory. So again, there are two pins that you can kind of tap on, like the older iOS chargers that came with the first generation iPhone, that allows you to insert it with more ease into the 30-pin dock and afterwards use this. So we'll take a closer look at the demo in a moment. First, we'll check out this one on the right. This is the power lead, same HDMI cable, but this one is meant for newer generation iOS products, and it uses the lightning cable as opposed to the 30-pin cable. So if you have a current generation iPhone, it supports iPhone 5, 5S, 6, 6 Plus, 6S, or even the iPod Touch 5th or 6th generation models, the iPad, it's also going to work with this. It's a bit more inexpensive since it is from a third party, and you can find this on Amazon for about 25 bucks, which isn't too bad, I think. And it's also made out of aluminum here, so you have that reversible cable here for the lightning tip, and then you mirror content using that HDMI plug directly on here. So there isn't a need for a additional HDMI cable. It's all integrated into one design. You can just plug this directly into the monitor or into the television. And there's also a USB cable that needs to be plugged into power. So just like with Apple's solution, this one does require some extra power to operate. After cutting this plastic, we can remove the contents. There's also a quick start guide that tells you how to set things up. There's a diagram. It's actually documented in full color, and since it is for the newer iOS products, it will support full-on mirroring of whatever is displayed on the iOS screen to the television. So it's a bit more convenient and more useful. Also tells you how to set things up in both Chinese as well as in English, and you can also use this adapter. It tells you how to set things up if you want to just use wireless options to, I guess, cast things to your television, but that doesn't really require the use of this cable. But anyways, pretty easy as far as setting things up. And the cable itself, again, has a pretty decent length since it has the HDMI cable pre-included, basically. The cable length here matters a bit more since this is as long as you're going to get without, of course, using another adapter cable. And so the quality here seems to be as good as the Apple-made quality version. So it has the same very thick rubber cable, so it doesn't feel like it's going to fry or break anytime soon. So as you can see there, this is the difference in the cable kind of width and thickness. And we have that standard connector pen for newer iOS devices, along with that port and finally connection to the HDMI ports. Nothing is gold plated, it's also silver plated, just like with the Apple version. So it's not anything too fancy as far as cables are concerned. So next we're going to do a quick demo with both of these and plug these into the wall and show you the process with the older and newer iOS. Moving into the demo, it turns out I was wrong about the power lead cable being compatible with the iPod Touch and all iPads. This is because this actually is only going to work with any iPhone or iPad that has cellular connectivity on board. So if it has 3G or 4G, it's going to work because it relies on a hotspot function that is not present on the iPod Touch. So as a result, this is not going to work with just any lightning cable equipped iOS product. So that's something to quickly point out. And one of the reasons why the HDMI cable part was so bulky, as you saw earlier in this video, is because it housed that wireless component that requires you to connect the phone or the iPad with 3G to the dongle wirelessly. And the actual USB part, the lightning cable part, is just for providing power so that you can charge your phone or iPad at the same time. So when you first plug this dongle into an HD television or onto a projector, this is the screen that you get. It says you're using the easy mirroring dongle and please connect your iPhone or iPad with the USB cable. And once you connect that, it's going to pop up a notice on screen that says, do you trust this computer or trust this cable? And you have to press yes, and afterwards bring up the hotspot function. Afterwards, it automatically proceeds to the next step, which is again pairing connection. Again, bring up the personal hotspot function on an iPhone or iPad with 3G, turning that on, connecting it, and then you have access to this mirrored content on the projector screen where you can then watch videos, browse the web, and bring up content from that smaller screen onto that larger display. And as you can see here, the charging part works 100%, and it's actually a pretty fast charger. It's going to fully charge your device in about 2.5 hours or so. The iPhone 6 and 6S charge up in under 3 hours in our testing. But then again, it's not a completely universal dongle that's just going to work with any iOS, lightning-equipped iOS product. So that's something to quickly point out. Otherwise, the other older 30-pin connector from Apple works as expected, works with even older iPod videos as well as iPod Nanos with video support. The keynote here is that it's only going to work in certain apps. So if you have the photo app or the video playing app or the YouTube app open, with that video playing, it's going to transfer that content onto the larger screen. But if you're just browsing the web or playing back a game, it's actually not going to be able to transfer that to the larger display. So there are certainly a lot of limitations there. However, at least it is going to work with any iPod or iPhone that uses that 30-pin connector, as opposed to this power lead version that only works with iPhones and iPads with cellular connectivity. So thanks for watching this video first look and a quick review here at OS Reviews. We're going to do a bit more testing on this and give you guys a bit more demos as well as the photos in our official written review, which is coming out soon. But this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS.